We'd get together with a few people. We watch Castle because it was interesting, it was quirky, and cats love.
Okay.
Damn it, Captain Hammer, Nathan Fillion. All right, but I'm actually taking time away from just Johnny. He actually has a review for us, man. You got to check out a game that was recently sent to us, brand new, Mages of Mysteria.
Yeah, Mages of Mystralia.
God dang it! Well, hey, at least I didn't say Regalia. I almost said Regalia.
You're very close.
I was very close to saying Regalia too. So yeah.
So Mages of Mystralia. So the way this game was pitched to, I think the both of us. I think we both got that same email. I think they said something along the lines of Zelda and
Harry Potter.
Combined together makes this game.
Did it not measure up to that?
No.
Oh man!
Actually,
this is a
Harry
game,
Potter, yes.
Okay.
Zelda, no. This is not a Zelda style game. There is no like dungeons that you're going to be going through. There are
maybe they were like, "Excuse me, Snape."
It doesn't even have that. But so I was a little skeptical about this game. I definitely wanted to give it a fair shot, and I'm glad I did because this game is actually it surprised me. In many ways, it is polished. It is well done. There's only, out of all the time that I've put into it, there was only one thing that was a detractor, and it wasn't even a big issue. Like, this is an indie game. It got kickstarted, so I'm not gonna knock it too much, but I'm still gonna, hold it up to, a standard that it should hit, and it hit it. Except for just one little thing. It was just the dialogue, the way it was written. It seemed like it should have went through a more professional translator because this game was made, I think, somewhere in Europe. Definitely not made. I don't know the country.
Somewhere in Europe. You can narrow it down with that,
There's many countries there.
One
of those countries, non-English speaking countries.
One of those places, there's white people there, I think.
Maybe. So, what genre are we talking?
So it is a, how to describe it? It's like a almost like a vignette. The camera angle is
the Potter Zelda-vania
at times side scroll, at most of the time isometric. It's like a kind of like God of War, how that camera was anchored in a certain location. The older God of War games anchored at a certain location and would follow the character, but the player never had control over the camera. So it is third person, but it is sort of raised and pretty far away from your character. So you're navigating through these levels, but these levels are all interconnected into this bigger world.
So kind of like a dungeon scroller? Sort of in that realm?
Think a little bit, I know it said it wasn't like Zelda, but think like Link to the Past, where it is this one big world, but you're going in screen after screen, except the screens are bigger levels, self-contained levels, and then the moment you hit the edge of a level, you will load screen over to the next area, and then there is a map that sort of shows you how all these areas are interconnected, and each of these levels are fairly big. So you're not hitting like load screens over and over again, which I knocked the previous game for. So it has that going for it. It seemed like it was going to be initially a very simplistic game, but it isn't because of how it does its magic use. So this game this is a Harry Potter element, which is it dives deeper than I thought it would go, and in a very good way. It is you are a mage, you are casting spells, and you have 4 spells that they give you access to almost at the very beginning. Like, you go through a very quick tutorial, and boom, you got your 4 spells. And then the rest of the abilities you get from then on is essentially augmenting those 4 spells into turning them into things that are dramatically different.
Yeah, dude, I'm not hearing any kind of Harry Potter or Zelda rule. What were they thinking? I think they were just throwing names at us to try to get us. So
you do get wands as your casting.
But that's not about the gameplay. If anything,
you're casting magic all the time.
I cast magic today. Like, that's not a game. No, what I'm getting at is it sounds more like it sounds more like a fantasy variation of a game like Gunstar Heroes.
No,
you get the different ammos and you combine them to make a third type of ammo.
But that's a more action oriented game. This is more adventurous. It is along the lines of probably about the same amount of combat that you'd experience in a Zelda game.
So how would you comment on the progression of the game, like enemies? I think there's an ample supply of challenges, or you're just kind of repetitious on a certain level after
it's a very nice mixture of basic enemy combat, or different enemies and whatnot, but like the basic minions, right? Combat with them, boss battles, and puzzles, and especially environmental puzzles. And it's always shuffling that around. There's also quests that you can pick up, but the quests are generally going to be towards something that you're already going to do. So it is a very, very linear game, even though you can go wherever you want in the world map. It's very guided. It's steering you down the right area that you need to do. And yeah, you're using these augmentations that you get, and every time you do a boss battle, or every time you go into an area or solve a puzzle that is there, it's not a forced puzzle. But if you do solve it, you'll get reward for it, whether it be through like permanent stat increases or through a new augmentation that you can do for your spell. And when you augment the spell, you can augment the spell multiple times. So it's interesting. Like you get this very useless spell at the very beginning where it's this fire, and you light it in front of you. But then you get an augmentation that allows you to move that fire, and then it turns it into
fire, and then you turn that to ice.
It then turns it into a ball of fire that actually moves, so it's a fireball. You launch it forward. And then you can get another augmentation where you're moving the fire, and then it homes in on enemies. So now it's a homing fireball. And then you can get another augmentation that you attach it to all of those other augmentations that says trigger this once you hit something, and then this is another spell that you can piece together completely different with a different element to it. So I'm like doing fireballs, and when it hits a target, it causes an explosion, and it'll chain to other enemies. It
sounds familiar. It sounds like maybe I'm thinking of Crystallis or Faxanadu. For the NES, if any of you guys played that.
Faxanadu, that is old.
Yes, it is. But in that, Faxanadu's kind of slick, man. If you got an emulator or like an NES, I can get that to you. But it's this old game where you're a knight, basically a knight questing fantasy game, and you build up your armor. So it's like what starts off as a single piece of armor becomes the basis for like the ill-ass chain armor. Which as you get larger and fighting more hardcore enemies, that chain armor is the base for this huge ass like attack armor and stuff. Your weapon you start off with a dagger, which you can actually chain a larger blade onto, and because you had that base, you're more familiar with operating. You don't have to learn a new weapon and things. And now you've got like a big ass broad axe where the base is your initial weak ass dagger and stuff, and you know how to use this thing because you know how to use it. It's cool. It's interesting. It was like I haven't really heard of any other games doing that until you mentioned this, and I'm like, that's kind of along that lines. Yep. So it sounds like you didn't hate this, man. Would you say thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, definite thumbs up. Now that I said that, I do remember one other fault of the game, and that is
it's like, wait a minute now.
The audio levels are not well balanced at all. When you're in the overworld, the music is very subdued. Pretty much everything's very subdued, other than some of the sound effects are a bit louder than what they should. But that can be sort of fixed in a patch, and they should fix it, because you do have to crank up the volume a bit louder than you do in other games, and even then you're missing out on some sounds. Like you can't hear the music. The music sounds good. It's just you can't really hear it compared to everything else. Other than those things, this game is great. It is such a pleasant surprise. The graphics are beautiful. It controls really well. The puzzles they're actually very interesting. It's a great game. It's $25 on Steam, which is the same price that Regalia was, and I definitely recommend this over Regalia.
All right, cool. Thank you, Johnny. All right, so Mages of Mystralia.
Yes.
All right, pick it up. Okay, now I want to spend just a quick minute talking about something I actually got to see over the weekend. Dude, the Black Panther trailer came out.
All right.
Finally.
It did.